All right, we got some people coming in here now. We'd like to thank everybody for coming out for this. My name is Joe Dallas. I'm the Chief Business Officer over here at Trade Pending. And today we have with us a special guest, Mr. Jason Scott, a good friend of ours here at Trade Pending, been a customer for a long time, really engaging, smart guy, obviously, because he's a customer of Trade Pending. And we're gonna be talking with Jason today. It's 20 questions, so we're gonna keep it conversational and nice and tight and enjoyable. We are recording. If for some reason you have to leave today, we'll be sending out a follow-up with everyone with a link to the recording of this webinar. So no sweat if you have to leave. And also you'll notice that you're muted. It's not because we don't want to hear from you. It's just we want to keep the audio pretty tidy. So if you would, we've got a couple of openings in the 20 questions. So if you have a question for Jason that we don't cover in the discussion, please feel free to drop that into the Q&A button down here. So just drop it in there and we'll get to it at some point in our discussion. So a couple of housekeeping things. It's the kind of return to trade shows. Maybe we might actually have in-person trade shows where we like talk to each other and shake hands and walk into booths and stuff. So we're excited about that. Our team is going to be present at the show there at Digital Dealers. So if you're going to be in town, hit us up, hit myself, Joe at tradepending.com or Matthew at tradepending.com. And let us know. We'd love to meet up with you. Maybe go grab some lunch or dinner while we're there in beautiful Tampa. So real quick, and Jason can also speak to this because he's a customer of all this, is what we do is really try to simplify automotive via some really good products through good conversion with our trade tool Snap. It's easy to use UI, helps with sourcing used car inventory, and then kind of layer on our newest product, which is that plus the ability to drill down to an individual number. And then my favorite of our product set is our merchandising platform Superlatives, which takes all that intelligent data and really kind of creates some urgency and builds value in your inventory. So we're not necessarily talking about that today, but just if you want a more in-depth look at our product suite, please reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to do a deep dive with you on our products. So let's get into it. 20 questions with Jason Scott. So Jason, I think we'll just kick it off with a very kind of positively spun question after kind of a kind of weird year for all of us. What's really great about being in automotive today?
Well, not pointing out some of the negatives that are out there, of course. New vehicle inventory is plummeting a little bit. Flailing incentives, everyone's kind of having the same problem. But what's great about it is just about every dealer that I've talked to over the last 3 months or so had an outstanding February, a record March, and then an even bigger record April. So everyone's just setting the world on fire, having a lot of fun. They're enjoying the experiences that they're having. I think it's a good time to be in the car business. It's kind of changing the structure of the car business a little bit. And, it's not just walking out back and trying to find one of those cars anymore. You might be selling a car that's coming in 3 months later, but
right.
It's fun. The customers are enjoying it. You're spending more time with them and focusing on the experience. So it seems like everyone's having a lot of fun. Customers happier, employees are happier. It's a good time to be in the car business.
Awesome. Well, speaking of that, how long have you been in the car business?
I like this question when you were asking it earlier. Like a lot of dealers, I started off washing cars in the detail department. I worked my way through service, but I was washing cars and detailing cars while kind of strange, but I was planning on being an attorney. And, after spending some time in the car business, and it just felt like a good natural fit for me. I loved being around the people and talking to people. And then I found out how much writing I had to do to be an attorney. And it was more fun talking to people. I just wanted to be that lawyer that, dropped the mic in the courtroom and got a guilty plea or something. But so I'll I'll leave it this way. I've been in the business a long time, since I was 19 years old, but no, I'm not going to tell you how old I am. So I'll leave that guesswork up to you.
Based on your profile pic, that would be like 4 years because you look like.
I don't know how I look like a mannequin there, and the wavy hair, and I don't know where that all came from, but thank you for dressing that one up for me.
Happy to please, man. Mine is the same way. So, well, with that, what's top of mind today for you as a GM?
In a word, inventory. I think that sentiment is the same across the industry. Everyone's trying to figure out how to get more cars. We ran into a point last month, similar to the real estate industry, where we had more agents than we did cars on the ground, new car inventory. It got slim. We sold through all of them. We, in our district anyways, we had the fastest turn rate. We were going through cars faster than we can get them.
Right.
Customers lining up when the delivery trucks were dropping these off. So inventory is very hard to come by right now. Used car prices are crazy high. You're going through auctions and paying what was MSRP 3 years ago. So inventory is definitely top of mind. As far as the discussions I'm having with the people that are here, it's about the experience, but I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later. So the most important thing I'm focusing on day in and day out is just sourcing inventory.
Yeah, no doubt. So we'll get back to that shortly, but one of the kind of buzzes that has happened over the past couple of years, and then really, anybody who wasn't involved or aware last year was almost forced to, this digital retailing revolution. There's like 40 companies out there doing digital retailing now. Why does that, like, the topic or the phrase, feel so tired?
And I'll probably offend some people at this, and maybe I won't. I certainly hope not to. But I heard through the pandemic a lot of different stories. I heard some businesses went down from 100 people down to 20 people, and they were doing digital retail and selling online, and everyone's got their cool widget that does this and does that. There are a lot of great tools out there, but that's what we need to remember. They are tools, and they don't focus on our number one, most critical, most important asset at every single dealership, and that's our people. We need to make it easy for our people and our customer. And like I said, I'm not trying to offend anyone or anything like that, but our people are our most critical aspect of this business. And we've gotten away from focusing on the human experience.
Right.
If you want to see what a demand for human experience is, go out to your local restaurant right now. There's people paying each other for reservations and waiting 4 hours in line to be able to go and enjoy a steak dinner or spend a night with their wife. We need to get back to focusing on the human experience. And it's not just, finding robots to buy a car through. The human experience, what keeps them coming back and makes them feel good about a very large purchase. These folks are spending a lot of money, and there's some tremendous tools out there that can help us enhance that experience, not get away from it. And those are the ones that I'm focused on. Companies such as yourself and some other great ones, they really help us speed up the process for the customer, of course, but make it easier and more transparent and fun. So
for sure,
digital retail, it seems like everyone's got their new little cool widget, and they're going to revolutionize the car business and do this and do that. But we've been saying this for years, and I don't know, there's some statistics behind it, but it kind of shocks me that people keep on jumping into one of these digital retail platforms, and 80% of the time they jump off.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna go talk to a human. I want to talk to my old buddy that I bought my last car from, or something like that. So
it's a really good point. What's your, we've seen kind of this new thing too, of not just independent companies, but OEMs and tier 2 stuff starting to kind of push, homemade or internally made tools like SmartPath is Toyota's new one. What's kind of your temperature on that as a Toyota dealer?
A lot of these manufacturers, some of them go about it one way, some of them go about it the other way, and they're all very smart. They're pool of people that are very good at what they do, and there's a lot of resources that they put at it. I'm very excited about the way Toyota is taking the approach on it. They're taking something called Smart Path, where they're not just saying you're going to do it our way and that's the only way, but they're using different tools and using the tools that the dealers are using the tools that the customer is using, and bringing them all together into a platform. They've done a very good job of it. They're not trying to be first in line. They're definitely not going to be last in line, but they're planning before they strike, and they're planning, and then getting a lot of feedback from the dealers. What do you use? Why do you use it? What's applicable in your market? Because not all dealers are the same. Not all people are the same. So they're taking a very good approach to it, and taking their time at it, and testing it and then testing it again. I think they're going to come out with a very good program. And more important, they're integrating it with everything. There's telematics in a lot of these cars now, and different ways that customers like to communicate. They're bringing them all together and just kind of make it an easy process. So the approach they're taking is enhancing our business, not commanding our business. So I really like the way they're doing it.
Awesome. Yeah, they just need a trade pending API now.
Absolutely.
They got to integrate with us.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be coming down the road pretty soon.
I think so too. So tell me about this. Tell me about the steakhouse analogy that you have.
It kind of goes back to what I was just mentioning a second ago. Go out to any restaurant right now and look how many people are out there. But we've been in a pandemic for the last year and a half going on now.
Yeah.
And lots of crazy things going on in the world. I kind of became a master chef. I'd go to the grocery store and get some food, and I got really, really good at cooking. And I think just about everyone that's been in the car business long enough has heard this analogy go on one way or another. But I remember back in the day, my sales manager told me about it, and he goes, anyone can go down to the butcher shop and get a prime cut of meat and season it and fillet it and prep it and do this and do that. And, they go all out, and they come up with an amazing steak, and it's absolutely awesome. But why would they go down to a restaurant and pay 2, 3, 4 times the amount for that same exact steak they can get at the butcher shop? And in one word, it's the experience.
Absolutely.
So, my manager, I remember at the time I was kind of young and didn't know any better, and he got me all fired up, and I was ready to give the best experience in the world and make sure that these people remembered me forever. And I just went above and beyond. And I think that's kind of what we need to keep on doing in the car business. I mean, people can buy a steak at the butcher shop, but it's the experience and the customer service that keep them coming back.
No doubt, man. No doubt. And I think now is, after a year, you kind of feel that like pent up demand for that human experience, just the warm and fuzzy feeling of socializing,
Yeah. I went to a restaurant recently, and I referenced it earlier, but there was a guy that was in line, and he had this pretty girl on his arm and everything else. He was walking up and down in front of the restaurant offering people $100 for the reservation, and he eventually got someone to do it. But
it's quick thinking.
Yeah,
that's quick thinking. All right, so let's talk about the first thing we talked about was inventory needs. How has your sourcing strategy changed lately?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't say it's exactly changed, but I would say that we're taking every approach we can and going at it full steam ahead. We almost have 2 staff members now, the ones that sell cars and the ones that buy cars. And we have a dedicated team that uses some very good tools that are available to us, like trade pending and the buying platform. And we're using it to get out there and do some cool things. I know you like some nuggets and some ideas. So,
well, yeah, my next one was specifically around like that service kind of concierge methodology you guys have.
Yeah, well, I'll run through a couple of them. One, customers use Wi-Fi at your dealership. So I think that's a huge one. There's not a single customer that comes onto our Wi-Fi. Just like when you go to a hotel, it drops you on their landing page. Mm-hmm. This one takes you to our trade page, and it says, hey, we're so glad that you're a guest here. Thank you for visiting our dealership. We would like to buy your car. We can do this in 10 seconds or less. Don't believe us? Go ahead and try it. And they use the trade pending tool, and they just boom, they have a number right there. From that, we give them the opportunity to sell it to us, and we present them a check at the end. If they go through that process and they're in our service drive on our Wi-Fi, one of our guest services people will walk right up and say, "Hey, I saw that you're interested in getting a check for your car," and we go through the process. Our appointment confirmation team, they're going to confirm 100% of appointments every single time, but they always ask 100% of the time as well at the end of that confirmation, have you considered upgrading or selling your car? They go through that speech. There's a hang tag in every single car. On one side of it says, "Thank you for your service visit today." Everyone always reaches up and pulls that hang tag and sets it on their chair. Well, on the other side, it says, "We'd like to buy your car. And if you do, we're going to pay 100% of your service bill. Or we will refund you." So there's a tactic we're taking right there. And we keep that offer open for the next 72 hours. So if they get home and they decide a couple of days later that they want to do it, we will still refund their service bill, because we're going to recondition that car anyways. Every fifth SRP on our website is a trade pending tool. So it says, "We want to buy your car," or "Get your trade appraisal right now." Facebook, we go through Facebook and social media quite a bit, put a spend behind it. We put our tools out there and say, "Hey, we're interested in buying your car," just like the Carvanas of the world and Broom and everyone else. We're out there aggressively seeking to purchase their vehicles. Sure, we'd like to sell them a vehicle as well, but we're trying to buy their vehicles.
So
yeah.
On that topic, how is your sales approach, do you feel is unique or different than many others?
Our sales process?
Sales process, sales approach.
We don't try and sell a car. It sounds a little strange, I know, but we don't try and sell a car. Our focus here is just getting to the next yard line. Very similar to Nick Saban. He doesn't want his guys going out there winning a championship. He doesn't want them winning the game. He just wants to get to the next yard line. So we focus on every step more than we do on the goal line, because the discipline is actually what gets you to win the game. So everything around our process, around our pay plans, the whole 9 yards, it's all focused on just getting to that next marker.
Yeah, that's so good. Sometimes it's good to kind of objectively look at the process of buying a car. What do you feel like is still too difficult about buying a car in our day and age?
We don't go to where the customer is, and it makes it a little bit hard. We're always trying to fit a customer into our program, or fit a customer into our process, and there's a lot of good things about a process and disciplines, and repeating that action day after day. But being flexible, being able to pivot and go to where the customer's at to make it easier, that's really where we need to make a lot of strides. There's a lot of really smart people out there that are doing some really cool things to make it easier. But us as an industry, we really need to make some changes there. Everyone does things a little bit differently, but we need to go to where the customer feels the most comfortable and make it as easy as possible.
All right, so here's another one. What's some strange behavior you've seen with dealers turning new cars into used cars? This one's interesting.
Thanks for that question. There's some things in the automotive industry that I agree with, and some I disagree with. We have a policy here where we don't sell vehicles over MSRP. It's just period, end of story. No matter how rare that vehicle is, we've had that policy in place for a long time, and maybe that's why a lot of customers feel comfortable with this. With that being said, I am very aware of some dealers that are out there doing some crazy stuff. There is a dealer up the street from me. I won't mention any names or anything like that, but I know for a fact, because he was kind of bragging to me about it, and he found a dealer in the Midwest that would sell him 2 Corvettes for MSRP. He brought them back to his lot and sold them $25,000 higher as used cars. So it's going on. We've all heard stories about it. It's usually on the rare vehicles, but same thing with loaner cars and rental cars and things like that. They're sourcing vehicles in any way they can just so they can stay afloat because cars aren't there right now. We've got a lot of things going on.
Such a unique time.
It is.
What about private party stuff? Are you doing anything with street purchases or private party acquisition?
Yeah, we've actually upped our incentives and pay for our sales consultants to reflect, how much effort they put into actually buy a car and sell a car. So we're trying to match that and make sure that we put a lot of effort into it. So we're trying to make sure that we have tools available to our team on their cell phones, on their iPads, whatever the case may be. So even when they're out and about, they can have a logical conversation with the customer and have a number in seconds. We've all had that neighbor or something like that says, "Hey, I got a 2012 Hyundai Sonata with 360,000 miles on it. How much do you think it's worth?" Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know every single vehicle in the world. So, giving your people the tools so that they can go out and source vehicles off the street and have conversations with people. Because look, it's pretty easy to buy a car off someone and sell a car to someone.
Totally.
Except maybe now. So they're going out on a regular basis and they're actually having fun with it. Our sales team is calling Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and everything else, and just calling them up and saying, "Hey, I want to buy your car. Can you tell me a little bit about it?" And it's a different approach, and it usually ends up in selling two cars, one to us and one to them.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I like it. So with the inventory vacuum that's going on, for those that aren't being agile and kind of changing some methods, what do you think is going to happen to the dealers that are maybe not proactive enough?
I think they're going to have a very rough next 6 months. I've spoken to a lot of dealers. We own a lot of different franchises throughout the Hendrick Automotive Group. So I'm privy to a lot of that information. And from what I hear, I don't think you're going to have more than a 30-day supply for a while now. And it's
what's your guess? What's your guess on when that returns to normal?
I think it's going to ease up just a little bit in the next 6 months, but I'm pretty sure it's going to push into 2022. I try to pay attention to the news and everything like that. And I've listened to some of these semiconductor CEOs talk about it. You have a 10-month lull on the semiconductors. You had weather problems over in Texas. You had an international pandemic. So you're going to push for a while. And I don't know, I think we're going to learn a lot from this too. Your flooring costs have gone down, your inventory levels are lower, but it's a better process for the customer. So it might be intentional later on too, that they don't put 1 million vehicles on every lot and stuff them down the dealer's throat or anything like that. I think it's going to be a good process over the long run, but I think we're in this at least until the end of this year.
Yeah. I've heard very much the same echoed through other questions. One that came in from one of our attendees here is it still important in your view to merchandise inventory even though there's not a lot of it?
I think it's even more important. I guess I am part of that age group where I use analogies like Amazon and Apple and things like that. But the questions and comments and suggestions we're having with our team is it's kind of like the Apple store. There's 1 or 2 models up front and there's a lot more in the back. That's going to be the way it is going to be for a little while. So you need to make sure that every 3 or 4 days, that car should be redetailed, dress the tires, make it look like $1 million, make it stand up tall, angle it a little bit differently, make the path of the walk from one side of the lot to the other side of the lot match the way your upgrades go, from the base model to the higher model. Make it a flashy car, make sure it stands out, make sure the pavement underneath it is just spotless and clean, but make it a great experience so they're really excited about it, and then offer them, okay, well, what color would you like? What year, make, model, things like that. I think merchandising is 10 times more important right now.
Yeah. And online with superlatives, right? Making
yes.
sure.
Selling the story and selling the sizzle. using superlatives in the showroom, it's great online, but using it in the showroom, it speaks volumes. I love when our associates pull out superlatives and start telling the story behind it and why it's such a high demand vehicle. Builds value and usually adds some good value to the proposition.
Nice. Yeah, I had to slide that in there, Jason.
No, that was good. That was smooth. I like that.
All right, two more questions, then we'll get you out of here.
Yeah.
So this is a question that we pondered internally of recent weeks. But if you had to guess, how many different software vendors are like involved in your dealership?
I would guess at least 40.
Okay.
And I am probably on the very low end by saying 40. I have one of those password savers.
Yeah.
I have one for personal use and I have one for dealership use. And the dealership one had, I think last I checked, just over 500 passwords in there. So there's so much software that's out there right now. We talked about it a little bit earlier today, but our consultants and our team members that work here, they have 1 million tabs at the top of their browser.
Mm-hmm.
They have 5-6 different software programs running. They got their phone going off with text messages and FaceTime and phone calls and everything like that. So there's just so much going on at all times right now. It's hard to get it all into one place. So there are almost too many sometimes, and that's why a lot of our people end up just bailing on some others and focusing on one. And it's usually the one that's the easiest to use.
100%. Wow, that's good insight. All right, last question. You knew we had to do this to kind of wrap up the whole discussion, but tell us the craziest trade-in story you've ever you can share.
The dead body car. Yeah, don't mean to pop your eyes open with that, but there wasn't actually a dead body in there. I'll pretense it with that, but we took a vehicle on trade one day, and it was just an old car, so we sent it straight to auction. We didn't recon it or anything. So I went to auction, and the auction called us up and said, "There's a dead body in the trunk." And I was flabbergasted, of course. And then my second thought was, how does the used car manager miss this on the appraisal? I'm going to go light him up right now. What is going on? I can't tell you how many thoughts went through my head, but yeah, they said there was a dead body in the car. So long story short, our lieutenant went over there and went to get the car, and he came back, and we asked him what happened, and we're like, "What's going on? Where's that car at?" And he goes, "Oh, I left the car at the auction, but I brought it back." "You brought what back?" And we walk up into the sales office, the sales tower, whatever you call it, and there is, one of those Lowe's yard trimming bags.
Yeah.
There was a Lowe's yard trimming bag on it with a name written on it and a slip. So the coroner put the ashes in one of these yard trimming bags, and our lieutenant brought it up. We were all scared to death to touch it. We wouldn't touch it. No one would get near it or anything like that. We called the customer up, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll come down and get it eventually." And we couldn't keep it around the dealership. So at one point, we actually just took it over to the customer's,
oh my
kid's house and dropped it off. So there wasn't an actual dead body in it, but
kinda.
It was kind of the same thing. Yep, exactly.
Well, that's a pretty good one. I challenge anyone listening to beat a trade story better than that. That's awesome. Well, Jason, I can't thank you enough, man. We're right at kind of the half-hour mark. Always good to talk to our customers and those that are sort of have a forward-looking view, modern view of the landscape out there. And we appreciate you as a customer, man. So,
well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I had fun, and feel free to, you or any of your guests, reach out to me anytime. I always like talking to other people.
Awesome. And I'm in Charleston next week, so I'm looking forward to having that steak dinner with you, man. So,
you got it. We'll do it. We'll do it upright.
Cool, man. Well, everyone, thank you so much. Looks like we had a pretty good attendance today. If you made it this far, please go get your Wobbly Bird. Jason, do you have a Wobbly Bird?
I don't. I kind of feel like I've been robbed now.
Well, we'll make sure we fix that next week as well. But yeah, please feel free to register. We'll get one of these out for you. Real fun to put on your desk as a conversation starter. So, all right. So thank you, everyone, and thanks again, Jason. And we'll look forward to when we do this again. Thanks, guys.